Okay, guys, so today I am super excited because we are joined by one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. He's one of our One Man Empire Fellowship members. He's an absolute legend. And today with us, we've got Matt Harmsworth. So Matt runs. Matt, I'm not gonna steal your thunder, my friend. Talk us through what it is that you run, what you do. You're up in the Highlands, up in Inverness. Let's hear all about it, mate. Give us a rundown of the business and what you do at your end.
Yeah, cool. So what we do is we were one of the very first drone companies in the UK to get set up about 5 or 6 years ago. And what we do is we provide breathtaking aerial shots for production companies who are looking to shoot up in the Scottish Highlands. We do go all over the world as well, but predominantly we're based up in the Highlands, and we do everything from corporate videos through to dramas, music commercials, and feature films as well. So pretty cool stuff. So the business grew off the back of the creative sector. So we're about 60-70% creative. The rest is survey and inspection. 3 members of staff. Got my special projects director, Paul, who's currently in the Maldives.
How did you pull that one off, Matt?
Yeah,
you, my friend, are in the wrong place.
Absolutely. We're looking to go to Sierra Leone in a few weeks' time. So yeah, we'll wait and see whether that happens. Not too sure about that one. And then we've got Jill, who's my PA, who mans the office, and then we use subcontract pilots as and when we need them. But all the creative work is done with myself and a subcontract pilot called Richard, and we do all the high-end creative stuff, because the people forget that it's not all about the drone; it's about the relationship between the pilot and the camera operator. If you really want to nail the director's vision, then you've got to be able to communicate properly. So that's kind of where we are now.
So talk me through that, Matt, like in terms of like everything we talk about here, like the whole one man empire principle and all that sort of thing. So with Jill as a PA and going through the subcontract, I mean, talk me through how much that helps you, and why you went sort of like, let's call it the PA or the subcontractor route, rather than just being like, right, fuck it, I'm just going to take on full-time employees and make that work. What was your thought process behind that, and what sort of impact has it had?
Well, the big one for me, before we got involved with working with yourself and the One Man Empire, I was laser focused on growth beyond everything else, and removing myself from the business to let other people do the work underneath me. Whereas now, I think I've changed that focus ever so slightly. The idea of using subcontractors is that obviously we can just pick them up and put them down as and when we need them. We've got a pool of subcontractors that go through quite a complex subcontractor approval process for both sides of the business. And that's something that you helped us put in place, and that's pretty much automated now. So that's kind of why I went down that road. I didn't want the overheads of loads of staff, and we wouldn't be able to sustain them really, because it is particularly the creative business, which I say is 60-70% of what we do, is a bit like a roller coaster in terms of when the projects come in. So there's no way that we could kind of level that out really with having full-time staff. So.
Well, I guess the same side thing as well, though, Matt. Do you find that gives you more control in terms of being like, actually, rather than having to think you've got specific mouths to feed, you've got the flexibility and all that sort of stuff, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the most important thing I ever did, and it happened during Transformers actually, was bringing Jill, my PA, on board, because that just frees me up from an awful lot of the drudgery of sending out doing bookkeeping, but also sending out fee proposals and all that kind of stuff. I can just delegate that to her and let that get done. So she's worth her weight in gold. She's not asked for a pay rise, but she did ask for a mobile phone. So we've got another one of your fellowship members who I won't mention, but it was one of his colleagues that came up, an accountancy colleague, and has convinced her that she needs a phone on the business. So I'm going to have words with Mr. ST when I see him.
So talk me through in terms of Jill there, Matt, because I know what it's like, and I know what it's like for. It's sometimes like it's a male trait, isn't it? In terms of being like, fuck, in terms of making that step and thinking that you need to control everything yourself, and actually then being, actually, someone else can do this thing just as well as I can. I just need to make that sort of thing happen. Did you find there was trouble with that? Was there any mental things that you need to break through to make that work? Or were you okay with making that transition and that switch?
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest problems. This is the second or third business that I've had, and I guess all of us as business owners tend to follow what we think is the right thing to do. So we'll throw ourselves into the business. It becomes our absolute our baby, our absolute life, our absolute soul gets thrown into it, and actually everything else suffers. I realised about a year, 18 months ago that there was no way that I could continue to do absolutely everything, because you do believe that you can do it better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And in some cases that's right, but really you just need to spend the time and train the right person, and then they're just as capable as you are. And there's no way of scaling your business unless you start to trust other people, or start to rely on automation to take some of the drudgery away. And Jill has actually been integrated into some of that automation now, so she manages that, is on the receiving end of the flow of some of those automations. So yeah, it was initially it was challenging, but yeah, now it's fine. I just leave it to get on with it.
Oh, Matt, that's awesome. In fact, I was going to come on to automations, because out of all the members that we've got here, when we talk about automations all the time, you're probably one of the ones that's just been like, "Fuck it, I'm going to try to automate as much as I can." So talk us through, Matt. So since you've had, we're probably on 9 to 12 months inside the fellowship now, would be the automation sort of like the biggest thing that you think you've implemented? What sort of difference has that had? And talk us through some of the things that you've put in place that are now like fully automated and all that sort of stuff. Give us the lowdown on that side of things.
So one of the biggest problems I had, and I still do, to be honest, I spend an awful lot of time on the road, whether that is traveling around managing the survey inspection side of the business, or just being out of comms on creative projects. And one of the things that I was keen to implement straight away was the automations. So the first thing that we did was put the new contact form onto our website, so that feeds into ActiveCampaign and drops people into an automation there, which handholds them right the way through. And what that meant for me was that when I'm out on the road, if I see a new inquiry come through on my phone, I know that they're going to get handheld for at least 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
There's enough of personalization in that contact to kind of hold that prospect over, because otherwise if you miss that email or you miss that call, that job is generally gone in the creative space. So that's been massive. We've then gone on to create automations for health and safety documents, new inquiries, all sorts of things, free guides, all kinds of stuff, and that's been mirrored not only on the creative side of the business but also on the survey inspection side as well. So I think we've got something like, I don't know, 15, 20 automations running,
hell, Matt.
like that now.
And how much time do you think those automations is like if you were to be like, if I was to get like someone on board to do these automations, I mean, how many hours do you think those things are saving you? How much is it? Are we talking employees? Are we talking multiple hours a week? What do you think that sort of looks like?
I think I think you're probably talking sort of 50% of Jill's time, so probably a day a week.
Fucking hell.
I think there's a day a week solved with that, definitely, because what particularly with ones like our health and safety automation, which without giving all the secrets away, the beauty of that is what tends to happen is we'll get a production assistant will phone up and book us, and then on the run up to the shoot, loads of other people come out of the woodwork and start to get super excited because there's a drone going to be flying around on a film location, and that can be anybody from that can be all sorts of stakeholders, from local authorities to film commissions to the director themselves, and they want to see our insurance and our what's called a permission for commercial operation. Loads of other bits and bobs, and we go over and above pretty much any other drone company in terms of the amount of health and safety documentation that we give to the client anyway. And what happens is all these individual stakeholders are phoning you, sending you emails. Have you got this? Have you got that? And even some of our long-term clients as well that we do construction monitoring jobs for, every 2 weeks they'll be, right, well, can we see your insurance? It's like, well, it's on the link I sent you 3 months ago. So that is a massive time saver. That automation is probably one of the best. And we've also got automations for onboarding new clients as well. So we try and get them signed up to pay by standing order. It doesn't always work, but if it does, then it's I mean, we got paid 2 weeks in advance of for a job that we did a couple of days ago, something like that. Which
That's
is great.
amazing.
You know, And it also, the real sweetener there is that we can offer the client a bit of a discount if they go through that process as well. And everybody loves the discount.
Yeah, well, so we've got this to a place now then, Matt, where everyone, I'm guessing, when we're interacting with you, they're getting a complete, consistent experience, whether you're on the road, whether you're in the Maldives, whether you're doing whatever it might be, without you really having to lift a finger and make that happen. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think they are. Yes, and there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Yeah, pretty much every client goes through the same process. Now, whether they choose to click that link and give feedback, or whether they choose to download the health and safety documents or follow all the different links, then ultimately you can't force them to do that. But at least they are having that consistent experience. So, it works really well. Automations have been great for us.
That's all. And just to sort of like clarify here, Matt, when we're talking about automations, as far as the customer or the client or the end prospect's concerned, they literally think you're sat down there writing these things and you're the most efficient person in the world. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Like they've been written by you.
Absolutely. I mean, they're all pretty personalised, and to be honest, I've just started now going back through them because I've been thinking, oh bollocks, no, that's not right. That needs a slight change. There are some automations running that I've completely forgotten about, and occasionally you'll get an email out of the blue. There's some slight language changes and things like that, but I mean that's the big one. I would guess most small business owners, or any business owner, when that initial inquiry comes in, they've got to physically deal with it themselves, or somebody within the team has got to deal with it. And the fact that those initial stages are dealt with by the automation is fantastic. I've been in scenarios where people have phoned the office and said, "Oh, I've just got your email," and I've no idea what they're talking about. Quickly log in and find out what's going on. So it's a massive time saver. It definitely brings consistency to the experience. And we kind of know where we are with it as well. It's not all sunshine and flowers. There are a few little things that need. There's always going to be people that drop through the net, but it's been a massive time saver. Really has.
And what I'm really interested in, Matt, you mentioned at the start there in terms of like allocating stuff for Jill to do. Because I think when we talk about automations as well, first of all, people don't necessarily understand that the customer thinks that you're doing this real. And the second thing is everyone thinks it's customer focused. So talk me through how you've got some automations in place so that you're not necessarily having to delegate stuff to the member of the team. So that's sort of like happening automatically as well. Like just a quick example on that one, I suppose.
Yeah. So one of the really useful things of the automations is at the various different stages that it goes through, it will notify particular people in the team. So it becomes essentially a set of standard operating procedures. So as the client moves through that automated process, there are various different emails going out at various different points to certain team members to prepare kit for this job, or to invoice them, or to send them this, to send them that. And that's been really useful to us.
That's fucking awesome, man. Because I know that's a big thing sometimes in terms when people bring people on and they're like, oh, I just haven't got the time to allocate the stuff or whatever it might be. And again, in terms of consistency and taking back control, the onus is then on you as the business owner. And you're like, fuck, if only I could have the time to do that. But by having that system in place, that's cool, man. That's really, really cool, Matt. And I love that. So in terms of sort of like everything that you've been going on there, what do you think's like the biggest impact that's happened to the business in sort of like, let's say the last 12, 24 months? Where have you seen the biggest change and the biggest difference?
I think the biggest change actually has been because of the support of the other members and yourself and Emma, is a much more positive outlook from me. I tend to go at things with a little bit more gumption than I would have done before, perhaps. And knowing that the systems and processes are in place. So we have, the last 9 or 10 months, we've been putting all the processes in place and testing it. And a byproduct of that has been learning learning a lot more about the market, shall we say. And that's enabled me to really kind of laser focus our approach to marketing to our ideal client. And I've got a very, very clear idea of exactly how much business is out there now and where it's coming from. Whereas before, I wouldn't have had an idea. I would have just thrown money in various different directions, whether that's Google AdWords, Facebook, boosting posts, whatever. And I think that the the clarity and the systemization that has come from the fellowship has been incredible. But yeah, by far, I know others have said it before, but yeah, my favourite day of the week is when we all get, favourite day of the month is when we all get together at the think tank. And yeah, I mean, some of the, you know, that book that came up the other day, all that kind of good stuff, you know, I wouldn't find that anywhere else. And I've become a lot more strategic in my thinking.
Okay.
I would have never have picked up books like that before.
Yeah.
I'd have been researching what was the next latest and greatest drone. Whereas, you know, it's not about that. It's not about that. You've got to get the funnel in place to get these people coming into the business. So yeah, just the support, I think, more than I couldn't pin one particular thing. The automations has been really good for us, but yeah, just I'd say the support more than anything else, and just being able to pick up the phone to yourself or Emma.
That's cool. And I think, I mean, we talk about association side of things here, and I think sometimes you can forget about that, can't you? You can be running the business and it doesn't matter whether it's you, whether you've got like a couple of guys that are working with you, whether you've got 20, 30, 40 employees like some of the members have got here, but it can still be like a real lonely place, isn't it? In terms
of
people not understanding, whether that's people at home, whether that's other people. Everyone seems to have that hidden agenda that when you're trying to talk to them, you're like, well, I don't think I'm necessarily getting the honest advice here that I would possibly have, which is really, really cool. So what I'm also interested in there, Matt, in terms of that association and that interaction with sort of like other members as part of the fellowship, talk me through. I mean, how did you find before coming to this in terms of like getting shit done? I know I'm always dead guilty of it. I tend to let myself off the hook very, very easily. So I'm a big believer in that association, to sometimes to hold yourself to a higher standard and making sure that you get the stuff done. Have you found that you've got traction from it from that side of things as well? And talk us through that.
Yeah, so in terms of accountability, I think, yes, definitely having a network of peers that are in exactly the same position as yourself, I think that's been really useful. The thing is with me, I tend to very much, you know, when we get the 90-day plan and all that stuff's on there, I'm like, right, I'm going to do all of that tomorrow. and generally that does work. Generally that does work, but not always. But yeah, having that sort of metaphorical kick up the arse from other people that are in exactly the same position. And I think the other really powerful thing is being able to talk completely openly about pretty much everything, knowing that A, you're not going to get judged, and B, that person isn't going to potentially try and steal business off you. So that's been enormously helpful, definitely.
That's fantastic, Matt. And in terms of, I'm conscious that you've got sort of like loads going on there today and all that other stuff. So if there was something that you could summarize up like the last 12 months, or sort of like a word of wisdom that you would have for someone out there that's watching this, that's got like this drive and being like, fuck it, you know what, this whole let's call it like this whole one-man empire mentality. Like I'm doing this, I'm trying to take back control, I want to get consistency in. What would be the one thing that you would say to anyone watching this? You'd be like, right, fuck it. This is the thing that you've got to do first. This is the thing that you've got to do next. This is the thing that you can do to take back control as part of life, business, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're out there on your own now as a business owner, as you say, it is a very lonely place to be, and you need to be, if you want your business to thrive, you need to surround yourself with people that have got a similar mindset to you, a similar drive, and you know, can hold you accountable. And I would suggest that probably one of the best ways of doing that is getting involved with the One Man Empire. So if you are thinking about getting involved with Charlie and Emma and the One Man Empire and the Fellowship, I would say go for it. Yes, you know, there is a financial investment there, but for us, I mean, I don't even think about it now. It's half the cost of Jill, and you know, I get hundreds and hundreds of times the value back from that. So I don't think you can do this on your own. You need support from somewhere. Otherwise, it's an extremely lonely place. And the people that are giving you advice outside of that environment, it's not necessarily the best advice, and it's usually driven by their own agenda. Yeah. You know, I mean, I quite often will have fairly candid conversations with other drone operators. I'm not going to say staff, but certainly other people that are involved in the business. and they're always motivated by making sure they've got a job, or or motivated by the fact that there could potentially be some collaboration or some white labeling or whatever. So the fellowship's been great in that you can have these open and honest conversations. And last year was a very challenging year for us for a number of reasons, both personally and professionally. I was able to smash through all of that because of the support that I had around me. So go for it, I would say.
Matt, that is fucking awesome, my friend. And like you say, it's funny. You forget sometimes, or sometimes you can have conversations with people, and whether it's a staff member and they're going to give you that skewed advice because they want to make sure that they finish at 3:30 in the afternoon or whatever the fuck it might be. Or like you say, it's someone else in the same industry that might not want you to do something, or it could be someone at home that's got the hidden agenda in terms of how it works. It's crazy, isn't it? How you don't necessarily realize that the people or the advice that you're currently getting is coming through that warped lens based on someone else on like a hidden agenda, which is, as you say, it's awesome. So Matt, it's been fantastic having you on, matey. I think we're going to do this again, and we might dive into some of the stories on the set of Transformers. I know there's some absolutely
read the book.
Awesome one.
Best-selling author.
Matt, we haven't talked about that, mate. I'm going to quickly, before we close this one down, that's something that's been absolutely amazing that you've done over sort of like the last 12 months since you've been involved in this. So talk us quickly through that, Matt. Talk us through that thing, and just give us a lowdown on the book.
Yeah, so about 7 months ago, there was some talk at one of the think tank meetings. I think somebody was writing a book or had written a book, and I know obviously you've written a couple yourself. And we were talking about how this could be potentially the ultimate business card you've ever had. So I was very lucky enough. We've got an American client who runs cruise ships all over the world. So I was lucky enough to get parachuted onto this, metaphorically speaking, riverboat, a cruise down the Rhine into Austria. And I was only flying at sunrise and sunset, so I had nothing to do. So I thought, I'll write a book. So I did. I wrote a book called Unmanned, and basically that just it's a collection of memoirs, really, from the drone space right at the very, very start, with a thread of aviation tying it all together, because I've always been into aviation. So wrote this book, got it out there, and it has been absolutely fantastic. Just the other day, I was speaking to a client that just suddenly announced that they were like halfway through the book and they were loving it. I had somebody else at a counter drone workshop who went off with a copy and had loads of good feedback. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I find myself keep justifying it to people, but it's been really good, really, really positive thing to do.
That's awesome, Matt. And a big believer here in terms of like when no one else is doing something in an industry, in terms of being like, that's the best time to do anything. So going left, which this fucking hell, I can't even work my left and my right. I'm going left when everyone else is going right. And that differentiation and all that sort of stuff, which is absolutely amazing. And I love it in any sort of industry when you can put yourself in a position and being like, right, fuck it. You want everyone else being like, who does this guy think he is? To do that sort of stuff.
Definitely been some of that. Yeah. Definitely been some of that, it's definitely been 100% positive experience. So yeah, it's been really good.
That's awesome, Matt. Well, Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I'm super, super excited to hear what the next 12 months hold. Absolute awesome to have you involved as part of the fellowship, the One Man Empire community, and all of that stuff. So, Matt, I'm going to let you go, my friend, and everyone else. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.